Hello once again, senior high school students. Here is now our fifth and present Philippine Republic. The world's eye was on the Philippines after it successfully toppled down almost a decade of dictatorship rule through a peaceful demonstration tagged as the EDSA People's Power Revolution. After the widowed wife of former Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. was elected into office. President Corazon Juan Aquino faced both economic and political problems in the country. Her rule as president began on February 25, 1986, after taking oath at the Club Filipino in San Juan, Metro Manila. She was the 11th president of the Philippines and the first woman to become president of the country. She was tasked to put together a nation devastated by the rule of her predecessor, Marcos. It was not an easy task since the country's economic condition was in its worst state since 1982. Filipinos living below the poverty line is alarmingly increasing in number. During her term from 1986 to 1992, there was a comprehensive agrarian reform law, 1986 Constitutional Commission led by Cecilia M. Palma and later on been ratified the 1987 Constitution, and Menjola Massacre occurred in 1987. Aquino also struggled with Marcos supporters in the armed forces of the Philippines who attempted to remove her from power. The group of soldiers, who called themselves members of the Reform the Armed Forces Movement or RAM, staged seven coup attempts against the Aquino administration. The attack held in August 28, 1987, which killed at least 53 people and injured more than 200 others, was the most serious attack the government experienced. These attacks worsened the economic condition of the Philippines as investors became worried about Aquino's ability to rebuild the country. Several coups happened to outclass Aquino. Gregorio Honasan led the coup God Save the Queen to hail Enrile as the Prime Minister, and the rejection of the US basis treaty in Subic and Pampanga was also ratified. The International Monetary Fund or IMF, the World Bank, and the United States also forced the government to fulfill its obligations to pay an estimated $27.2 billion worth of debt Aquino inherited from the previous administration. To be eligible for IMF's rehabilitation programs, Aquino instigated reforms towards a freer economy. These reforms ended monopolizations of the agricultural industry of the country, reduced tariffs, and lifted import controls in the Philippines. The political condition of the country at that time did not look any better. To resolve the issue, Aquino commissioned a referendum that would be the framework for the new government. Then came next was her chief of staff in the armed forces, Fidel Ramos. With his vision of Philippines 2000, MTPDP, the peaceful resolution with the CPP-NDF, a creation of PACC, and passed the Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos Act of 1995, which bring about to be having as of now the Department of Migrant Workers, and faced energy crisis. The rule that followed Aquino's presidency established steadier governance of the Philippines. During Fidel V. Ramos took office in 1982 and immediately worked on the country's recovery, Ramos initiated the Social Reform Agenda or RSI that was geared towards alleviating poverty. The gross national product reached an average of 5% annually, which translated to a growth in the average family income of the Filipinos. He undertook the implementation of Build Operate Transfer Law, which improved public infrastructure and deregulated several industries to help liberalize the economy. The country also saw improvements in its relations to secessionist Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MNLF as Ramos achieved a peace agreement with the group. Ramos bagged the first UNESCO Peace Award yet given to an Asian for this effort. He also come to be known as the Centennial President for his successful supervision on the 100th anniversary of the country's independence from the Spanish rule celebrated in June 12, 1998. A film actor, Joseph Ejercito Estrada, succeeded Ramos as president in 1998. He was the previous mayor in the municipality of San Juan, Metro Manila, and vice president of Ramos. Estrada was placed into office by a wide margin of votes. He gained support in the election for his promise to begin a pro-poor administration that his predecessors failed to promote in their respective platforms. This support dwindled down as his administration was rattled by corruption. During his term from 1998 to 2001, proposed to liberate people from poverty, created PAOK-TF, held some negotiations with Abu Sayyaf, MILF at MNLF, but Luis Chavez Singson revealed his involvement in illegal gambling. Critics accused him of failing to live up to his promises due to the resurfacing of cronyism in the government. Efforts made by Ramos to resolve political conflicts in Mindanao were also threatened as Estrada launched an all-out war against the Islamic group in Mindanao called the Moro Islamic Liberation Front on March 21, 2000. In the same year, Ilocos Governor Luis Chavez Singson accused Estrada of receiving 400 million pesos from him as payoff from illegal gambling profits. The revelation led to Estrada's impeachment in November 12, 2000, and his ouster from presidency in January 2001. Then Supreme Court Chief Justice Hilario David Jr. swore in Vice President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo as President the same day. Estrada was charged bribery, graft and corruption, betrayal of public trust, and constitutional violation, and that a bank account named for Jose Velarde became an envelope evidence for the issue. His Vice President Arroyo resigned her post together with other cabinet members, and the impeachment complaint was formally filed to him on October 18. The trial happened on December 7 as presided by Hilario David Jr. 10 senators voted to open the envelope and 11 voted to do not open it. Mass of people went to EDSA the same way during EDSA People Power 1, led by Cardinal C. Corazon Aquino and Fidel Ramos to protest the continuation of trial. AFP and PNP also announced on television their withdrawal of support from Estrada. So by afternoon of January 20, 2001, Estrada family left the palace, and Vice President became the President. The Philippine Constitution allows the President to run for a second term if he or she was sworn into office by succession and served in less than 4 years. Otherwise, the President is limited to one term of office. Arroyo was qualified to run for another term. Indeed, she did. In the 2004 Philippine general election, Arroyo declared her presidential candidacy and she was sealed into office for the second time. Arroyo promoted a stronger republic under a rule which was geared toward vigorous economic reforms. However, her administration was bombarded with several controversies and impeachment attempts in the last 5 years. Hence, as she announced her disinterest to extend her term or run for office in the 2010 elections, critics expressed their apprehensions. During her term, she arrested Estradas, had conflicts with Normis Lori of ARNM, experienced the awkward mutiny in Makati, and the Hilo Garcia scandal, and when Jocelyn Volante arise the issue for 728 million pesos fertilizer fund scam. Once Arroyo had broken the people's trust when she declared that she was not interested to run in the 2004 elections, protesters expressed their disappointment every so often rallying at the streets calling against the charter chains or chacha, and now the Constituent Assembly CONAS, which is currently promoted by the Arroyo supporters in Congress when the chacha attempt has become improbable receiving critical disapproval. The representatives in the lower house of Congress were said to have made the move independently to pass the CANAS. However, many are skeptic of the true agenda of the Arroyo administration as the 2010 election countdown nears. Supporters of Arroyo are pushing for a change of government from a presidential to a parliamentary form. This will enable Arroyo run for parliament and become prime minister. On the May 10 to 2010 general elections, Arroyo ran and won for Congresswoman for the 2nd District of Pampanga Province, making her the first president to hold a lower office after occupying the highest office of the land. On her first day as Congresswoman, Arroyo filed a resolution calling for Congress to hold a constitutional convention to amend the Constitution. On June 30 of that year, Benigno Simeon Cuanco Aquino III, also known as Nonay Aquino, was proclaimed as President of the Republic together with Jejomar Kabawatan Binay as Vice President. During his term, K-12 basic education program was implemented. The issue about the Manila hostage crisis occurred, and the Typhoon Haiyan Yolanda funds and the Mamasapano encounter were tragedies during the term. Then came afterwards in 2016 the first president ever that came from Mindanao in person of Rodrigo Roa Duterte. His platforms of governance were focused on war on drugs, Build Project, free college education, Boracay rehabilitation, and Bangsamoro basic law. He championed the Bill until he stepped down this year of 2022. See you in the next lesson.